All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our weekend live stream. We're doing it on a Friday today, and it kind of relates to our topic of the day, which is as a developer, should you work more than the standard 40-hour work week as a salaried employee? Or when should you? I think it's a better way of putting it because not everything is black and white in the world, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. Um, so we are doing this on a Friday instead of Saturday. I am working Saturday for my work. I am going to take Monday off as compensation, if you will. They have nicely said, hey, take Saturday off comp time since you're going to be working an extra day this week. But on top of that, I'm actually putting in about 10 to 15 hours extra this week because I am doing some stuff for the company that has a day-to-day deadline that needs to be delivered because it is something that gets released daily. So I wanted to talk. I thought this was a good opportunity as you guys get to see me a little bit tired in the middle of the sort of extra work hours grind to share my thoughts on it. And I educate yourself a little bit on this. Now, as always, I kind of preface this by saying that most of my advice is that when it comes to companies, it's a case by case basis, right? Every company is different, much like every person. And thank you to James, by the way, who just donated $2 to the channel. I appreciate it, James. And Erica Brown, welcome. So right now, we are in a very busy week in my company. We have the largest event that's going on this year, and they needed some extra hands on deck to actually do that. Your boy is essentially a cashier at a conference, helping run things, helping ring things up, and doing any of the sort of grunt tasks, really, at the end of the day that needs to be done. Extra pair of hands, essentially. And on top of it, I'm also doing some of my dev duties for the last day and a half, and I will continue to do it for the next couple of days because unfortunately this is taken away from the time I would be developing it. Am I okay with this? Yes, and I will tell you why. By and large, my company encourages me to work 40-hour work weeks. I would say I've been with the company around 5 months. This is the first week where I have worked past that on their accord, meaning it's game day. And I've said this kind of before, where I think it's perfectly acceptable for a company to ask you as a developer, say, look, it's game day. Can you show up to game day? Are you going to be an all-star on game day? Or are you going to be a bench warmer on game day? And I think as an individual, you need to rise to the occasion when it's appropriate. Now, how often should there be a game day is a very different thing. When everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And same thing goes with working extra hours per week. So when your organization has a game day on a weekly basis and you're working, instead of working 40 hours, you're working 45, 55, 50, 55 hours a week because that's what's expected. To me, that is a toxic environment and one that you should probably leave. It doesn't have a good health work-life balance and really isn't all that great for you as an individual in your mental and emotional health, and probably will affect your relationship, all that sort of stuff. It's just not good for you to do that. Now, what would I say is an appropriate game day sort of period of time, where I would say 1 to 2 weekends, 1 to 2 situations every 3 months. So about once every 6 weeks at the absolute most, where it's like, hey, we need you to come in late this weekend, or hey, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, we need you to stay late. Can you accommodate that? And what does that get you at the end of the day is kind of how I look at it. One, you're a team player, which is nice, as long as you make sure that you're a valued player. And so you shouldn't want to be stepped on as a employee, and I encourage you not to. But I also think you should. It's this healthy line of, okay, I'm gonna step up to the plate, help out when I can. The other thing is, it gives you the confidence, and this is something that I don't suffer with. because I'm a very selfish employee. I'm a very looking out for numero uno type of person. But there are a lot of people out there who feel very uncomfortable leaving a job after 1 year, leaving a job after 2 years for more money. And I think a lot of you, if you arrive on game day, every single game day that arrives, when the 1 year mark comes around and you get a 1.5% raise or something ridiculous like that, it may give you the fuel you need to sort of give the finger and drop the mic, walk away, and take another offer, which is equally as important and one of the fastest ways to raise your salary as a developer, which is another reason I think you should show up for game day as I say. But that's my sort of thoughts about, is it okay for you to actually work more than 40 hours a week? And the situation isn't a yes or no, as it always is. It is a when it's appropriate and what frequency. But by and large, if your work's asking you to work every week, 50 hours a week, you probably want to leave that workplace. That's my opinion. But that's what anyhow. So that's today's conversation starter, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about whatever it is you guys have questions for. This is the weekend AMA, the weekend live stream on a Friday night. We're counting it as the weekend because I have to work tomorrow, and I'm a little too tired to study. So a little update about me. I am just finished my second course in college, and I got another certificate from the Certified Internet Web Specialist as part of that. I'm currently working through another course. I'm completing a course on once every 2 weeks. This next course, because of this sort of game day week, is going to probably take me 3 weeks, and go from there. But I'm doing very well, and I've recently started continuing to write my book, which I'm very excited about again. And I've also recently started to finish up my algorithm/JavaScript course, which I'm excited to share with you guys, which will probably be about a month at the rate I'm going for the course. And the book, who knows? End of 2018 is my guess. All right, so let's see. We have a couple questions. Hi, should I learn PHP? So I hate PHP. Not that there's not jobs in it, not that it's not a language that has become better, in all honesty, since PHP 5. PHP 5 is, and then PHP 7 is much better, from what I'm told. Anyhow, I can't really speak to that as a developer in PHP 7. I only did PHP 5. Now, what I can say is that, are there a lot of jobs in PHP? Yes. Will it help you get a web development job? Yes. Is it the only backend language? No, but it is the largest one, I would say, at this point in time. And so if that answers your question, I think that's one way you're going about it. So what if you're expected to work a lot of overtime and the company fails to compensate you for it more than a couple of times? If the company fails to so if a company promises you money, say, okay, hey man, we know this is going above and beyond, and we're going to compensate you, extra hours. We know your salary, and we're going to compensate you, your whatever your hourly rate would break down to as a bonus or something like that to help out. And they don't, you need to go and get your fucking money. Now, if it's one of those things where they're willing to pay you and then they stop paying you, or they only pay you once or twice as a nice thing, and then it becomes expected, you need to have a conversation with somebody, a boss, a manager, and go from there. And exactly, so Mario Silva says exactly what is there is promises are bullshit at the end of the day. Is promises are nothing more than words. Much like your goals, much like your dreams, you can say them all you want, but until you work towards them, until you go and get them and have something substantial behind them, it's just words. Same thing with people and companies promising things. So that's why my mentality is, you're a team player, and if you get rewarded within your 1 year or your 2 year for being a team player, great. If not, you figure it out, whether that's there or other places. But that's my stance on it, and that if you're being a team player for more than sort of a once every 6 weeks, once every 3 months would be ideal. You may want to leave. You may want to find a better job. That's the truth of the matter. A lot of workplaces are really stressful. I happen to be at a very good workplace that values your family time, values your hours in work and out of work, which is strange because I'm kind of a workaholic, if you guys haven't noticed. But I encourage you to understand your value to the market and understand that. I'll give you a good example. I turned down an offer that was $15,000 higher than my current one, which is a lot of money. So we're talking about the difference between 75,000 and 90,000, and would have been at a very great company that I was very much interested into, a large financial investment company. And I turned it down because all of the developers looked drained. They looked stressed out. They looked like they're probably working too many hours. And it's not a good environment for anybody to do that. And so even for more money, how much money are you losing out on by you working those extra hours? Are you really making more money? Or are you actually probably going to take a loss on an hourly basis? So you have to think about all these things. And how much money are you losing by not being able to study other things? So I'm a front-end developer. If I wanted to learn C# and .NET, how much more money would that make me? $20,000 a year, maybe? I think that's probably a pretty accurate number. If I go and learn C# and .NET, I could probably make 20K more a year and transition to full stack. But if I don't have the time to do that and I'm making $5,000 more, $10,000 more, maybe, some stuff to think about, and probably really tired and unhappy about it, and probably dealing with people who are in the same issue. It's not something that you should really want. What is my favorite Mexican taco meat? It's got to be a good seasoned carne asada that has a little bit of like a hint of lime. Like it has to have that tang to it. Like a tangy carne asada is what that's what as a kid say. That's what I fuck with. Carne asada. Hi, I have a daytime job not coding related. I only have about 2 hours a day of free time. I also have to watch YouTube, Facebook, and watch some stream games. Only got 1 hour left. Is that okay? Okay for what? It's okay for you to learn to code? 1 hour a day? Probably not. If you can't give up fucking YouTube, you can't give up Facebook and watching streaming games, you need to get some fucking self-control. I just accept the fact that you're okay with whatever your situation is. If you're saying, look, I want to get in a better financial situation, I want to get a better job, I want to do this, but I can't give up Twitch. I just can't, man. I gotta watch the LCS. All right. I gotta watch the headshots. I gotta watch it all. I gotta watch the YouTube videos. I gotta watch my I'm a Cutie Pie, whatever it is, right? The Call of Duty VODs. I gotta go on Facebook. Gotta make sure that I'm liking things, commenting things. I'm sharing dope shit. You are a child and you need to grow up. And that may be harsh, but that is the truly true words. And I don't mean to say that to pick on you. But as the kids would say, use a basic bitch. We're keeping it real. I'm too tired to sugarcoat it for you, but you need to reevaluate your priorities is what I'm trying to say. What is the most interesting thing you have learned in school? The school thing that you're doing, and what's the most useless thing? The first 2 courses I did was web dev. I didn't learn anything. I learned a lot of useless stuff. I learned a lot about like HTML4. I learned a lot about like the internet history, like VB script and things like that, or JScript rather. How many years does it take to learn all these things? You got to be a little bit more specific. And also, it's not really an answer you can give. The thing about software is everyone learns at a different pace, right? And there's levels to it, It's kind of like, oh, well, you get it this part. You get this much part after a year. Then maybe 2 years, you get that much part. And then if you keep studying at it, you get that much part after 3 years. And then at 4 years, you get that much part. You draw back. No, but everyone goes at a different pace. So you can't really put a thing on it. It also depends on how often you study. Are you putting 4 hours a day every day for 5 years? Probably going to be pretty good. So I've been doing the Code Academy, building websites from scratch and learned some things. However, I do have to say the only thing of value is when they walk you through doing your code on your device. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what a lot of these sites are. Is they charge you. I think you're talking about the Code Academy Pro stuff, where essentially they will do code reviews, which is something that's super valuable and that you do in the workplace. Essentially, they see your code. Hey, you could have done this to sort of refactor to make it better. It's one of the best aspects that I got from the Udacity Nano Degree program. Do I use MySQL? I used to at my old work. Thoughts on MySQL? It's just a relational database like anything else. I will say that I think the syntax for MySQL is a little bit less intuitive than SQL itself. I often find myself thinking when I would be doing MySQL is I would say the words in SQL, which are very close to how you would say this in English. And then you are like, okay, well, how do I do that shit in MySQL? That's my that's my thoughts on it. Did you get paired with cool senior dev when you first started your first job? No. My first job was basically a startup with 3.5 devs. Half dev was intern. So that's where the half dev comes in. And I really didn't get much direction from that. Applied over 200 times, live in Cali. What am I doing wrong? So when I was applying for my very first dev job, I was applying all throughout the United States. I was also doing about 50 applications a day. So you may want to, and I don't have time. Juan Bonds 07 to you should have been Juan Bonds 567 is what you should have been. Double 007. To look at your portfolio. But honestly, it's a very large um a very large task to get your first dev job. You have to apply nonstop. I'm not bullshitting you when I say I applied to every state in the country and I was doing about 50 job apps a day. I would come home and I'd spend 4 to 5 hours after work doing job apps, go to sleep, go to work, come back, do 4 to 5 hours of job apps, go to sleep, go to work. And I did this for about 6 weeks till I got a job. Company that tried to recruit me, but the juniors if there hate it. Yeah. It's you're from India? All right. Cool. Well, what's the steaming in the back? Hey, don't you worry about it. It's just the essential oil diffuser. What do you think of learning the fundamentals of web development in a crash course event? I think learning any sort of crash course is great if you go and immediately apply it. I think the real issue people have is if they take crash courses and then they're like, all right, cool. They do one project, but you take, 2-hour course, your next 2 weeks should be building stuff and what you were introduced to in that 2-hour course to expand upon it. This guy's telling me to fuck off. We can go ahead and just ban that guy. Let's go ahead and ban that guy. I'm not quite sure why he's telling me to fuck off. There we go. I think I've been very cordial with most of you guys. You are on point, sir. I lack self-control. Thanks. Look at that, man. You tell the man the truth and he appreciates it. He didn't just hide. He didn't just go back. He didn't just flip off the finger. Good for you for taking some constructive criticism. You were cool. Thank you, Lost Millennial. Jonathan Puck sounds just want to say thanks for your content. Has helped me on stay on track. I'm finally working as startup intern. Will be full-time about 23 days. Congratulations. This is something I've talked about quite often, is that a lot of these junior dev roles, a lot of you guys want to get hired right away for a junior dev role. And it's possible. Don't get me wrong. I did it. But a lot of companies, they will sign you for like a 90-day. And Jonathan, maybe you can contest to this if that was what you did. A 90-day or 3-month internship to see, hey, can this guy actually do the role? And do we want to keep him around? Is he a good fit? And that's kind of their tester way to find out. How did I land my first job? For 6 weeks, I applied to jobs all throughout the United States, about 50 a day. That was it. I mean, I worked very hard to get to the skills where I could do that. But in terms of actually applying jobs, I applied to jobs only on the apps that came out that day for front-end roles. If you're easily distracted with social media and entertainment, get a shitty internet back and shitty computer. Hey, man, so the thing is I at one time was the same thing. I used to go home when I was in school, play League of Legends for hours. What I eventually had to do is I had to get rid of my TV. I got rid of all my game systems. I got rid of all the distractions I could. And then I made it much easier for me to, I uninstalled all my games on the PC. It made it much easier for me to stay focused. Thanks, guys. It's important to focus on other areas for environment as well. You can be a great coder, but if people don't think you'd fit in the overall culture of the company, it won't work. Yes, this is something that I've talked about quite a bit, is work on your communication skills. You will be working on a team. If someone looks at you and says, this guy is so uncomfortable, I don't want to work with him, they're just going to move on to the next guy who isn't uncomfortable, who can, form a sentence and can have a personality. Really, I mean, part of being on a team is collaboration. Part of being on a team is being able to go ahead and communicate clearly what it is that your issues are, how you can work through them. And that's on a personal level and a technical level. And you need to be able to have good communication. So really do focus on that. Do I live in Florida still? I do indeed. How long did it take you to feel confident in JavaScript and algorithms? I'll tell you later, man. That's been a year or two. I don't know, man. Honestly, probably not till recently. Will I ever make a course that helps people get a junior dev job? Yeah, it's called the YouTube channel, man. If you've been watching this Ask a Dev series, all it is the knowledge in every video to help you become a better developer to get a job. I think the Lizzie were maybe some of the granted that I could make a video about, or a course specifically about, hey, let's do your LinkedIn, let's do your, but I've pretty much done those videos on my channel. And I think what a lot of people are looking for is I'm not saying this is you specifically, it could be, but a lot of people, when they ask that question, is what was the secret sauce, Dylan, that got you through that everybody else, that made sure that you got hired in the next week? And for me, honestly, I just covered all my bases. I had a portfolio, I had a GitHub, I had a LinkedIn, I had a nice resume. I applied to a lot of jobs. I was willing to relocate. I was, I learned the skills that were popping up on resumes. On those or on the job applications, all the basic stuff. And it's a lot of work, right? Every time I saw Angular or React, I had to choose, do I want to learn Angular? Do I want to learn React? And then I had to go build a project in that. I had to learn something to build a project in it and go from there. And I saw Git version control. Okay. And I just started noticing what are on these job applications. I had to go learn those skills. So there's not some sort of secret magic bullet that, like, look, man, all these fucking coding guys, they're on their coding channel, they're not giving it up. I've been giving it up 700 videos now. All right. So your boy is easy when it comes to the coding knowledge. All right. So it's all of it combined, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's not like a magic bullet. It's all of it combined. I'm a big fan of the channel. Quick question. Quick question. What is the best online resource for learning Rails at the novice intermediate level, either paid or free, but short of an online bootcamp? Thank you. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't know anything about Rails, other than I don't ever see jobs. Do I know any good resource for learning relational databases, normalization, and so on? My teacher does not explain the way I want it, so I need some study materials. Maybe you have some experience. Honestly, it's just the only experience I have is in the workplace and personal projects. I will say that codefights.com added I forget if it was a MySQL algorithm stuff where you can go and try and solve and practice that way, where they have database problems. Like most algorithms you're solving in like JavaScript or you're solving in C# or 40 other languages. They actually have a database one of about 60 database problems, and that'll teach you a ton if you put in the time and energy. It's gonna be hard, but it's definitely worth your time and energy. What would be the best job in 2018? Anything in software that you're passionate about. Honestly, I have a video coming out on Monday about should you learn front-end development, or should you be a web developer in 2018? And we talk a little bit about how it's more important about your passion, but in the field, I would say I think if I was to choose one thing that falls under the software category, and I say that because that's where I think all the best jobs are. I would say that learning cryptocurrency, Ethereum contract type languages right now would probably be the best bet for you. PHP can S Monday. When it comes to, I thought I was the only one that abbreviated shit like that. When it comes to backend languages after Node.js, should one move into MySQL? Well, I mean, Node.js is sort of the backend, and MySQL is a database. But typically, if you're doing a Node.js backend, you're probably doing a JSON or BSON database. So you might want to look more into MongoDB. But there wouldn't be any issue with learning MySQL or SQL. Where's your friend Dolan? It takes Dolan about a month to grow back his mustache, so you're gonna have to wait till then. Is getting a BS degree in computer science worth getting if you already have an unrelated degree? No. What I would say is that if you are considering going back to school, the University of Georgia, I want to say, has a $4,000 computer science master's program. Now, you may have to test into it because you don't have a related degree, but I do believe that they take work experience as a way to allow you to enter the program. So if you really have your heart set on going back to school, first off, as somebody who's going back to school, I'm really just going back to get a piece of paper. But sometimes a lot of people have faith in that piece of paper. So if that's something that you're looking to do, what I would say is consider the master's program before anything else. Do not go back for a bachelor's under any circumstance. I can't figure out how to build a Simon game. It's pissing me off. You know how I've built every project on Free Code Camp for the most part, and I get more people. The only one that I really didn't build was the Simon game and put up a video for. I get more people ask me about that stupid project that I should just do it. How long until those braces come off? Hopefully within a month. We are in the home stretch right now. It's sitting out straight. Not straighter. I need to get them whitened when these things come off, but yeah. Wait, I thought React and Vue were not frameworks. React and Vue are libraries, technically. But when you install 40 fucking libraries, You have a framework as far as I'm concerned, which is what happens with React. Start doing a React project and then see how and even watch a React tutorial. They will install 10 dependencies from open source this, open source that. And by the end of it, you basically have a third of Angular. It's a framework as far as I'm concerned, because that's how it's used. Opinion on game development? Well, from everyone who I've interviewed and talked with in game development, it's a very stress heavy industry, and it's one that's hard to get into because it has a very like, oh well, this would be so much fun and this and that, and so it's stressful. There's a lot of crunch time, meaning that like there's a lot of deadlines that have to be hit, so you're working 12 or 15-hour days a lot, and the money's not all that great on top of it. So I would stay away. Making one big project can help you get ahead? Of course it can. All you really need is one good project. You don't need a bunch of tiny projects. The big projects are going to be the ones that are most impressive. My YouTube channel is my most impressive project. It's been a long-term project. It's been something I've stuck with. It's been something that's helped me grow. And I encourage you to have a very big long-term project. Doesn't mean you can't have small projects. You're going to need those anyhow to learn frameworks, libraries, languages. Why do you think, here, let's see here. How was your experience looking for work in LA? I assume you know a lot of C#. Would you move back there once you get your degree? I would move back to LA if I got a fat salary. Fat salary being somewhere twice around, 2 times what I make now. And the reason I would do it is because I miss Mexican food, and my family's there, who, you know, my parents are getting older. It'd be nice to live a little bit closer to them. But it has nothing to do with me getting my degree. Although in fairness, I wouldn't leave my current job until I had that part of my life complete. So maybe it does. You know, unless some, you know, Google came out, look, man, we heard you were the coding god. I said, Google, you heard fucking right. And then I was like, cut the check, Google. Then maybe. But yeah, like I'm not looking. Like I'll give you an example right now. You guys want to see what it looks like? Sometimes people think you're bullshitting when you say you get recruiters message you every single time. What's today? Today is February 1st. You do. And this is nothing special. This has nothing to do with me. But this guy actually emailed me looking for a job. A recruiter. Let's go down here. We'll continue. Recruiter. 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 And it just goes on and on. The point I guess I'm trying to make is that if I wanted another job, I could go and get one. I'm not looking for a job, and I wouldn't even consider it until I finish my degree. Because I kind of don't like so much change at once, because I think it's stressful looking for a job and it's time consuming. What do you think about developers from countries like the United Kingdom are paid less than developers from the US? Are American developers overpriced? I just think there's probably more tech jobs. That's probably the truth of the matter. More tech jobs, higher demand. I mean, if you think about the United Kingdom and compare it to the amount, I mean, this is just my gut. I'd have to actually look into this, but my gut tells me that the top tech companies are in America competing for the top tech talent, and that if you want those people, and there's a lot more jobs and less people to fill those roles on a percentage basis, you're gonna have higher salaries. But I don't know that. That's just what my gut tells me. What would you suggest for me to first client-side framework learn? React or Angular? Vue isn't going to get you a job because there aren't any jobs in Vue. I'm thinking of moving to Orlando. Are there web development jobs there? There's web dev jobs everywhere. Now, I wouldn't move anywhere until you have a job. You can interview via Skype, via phone calls, and get a job. I didn't even have a Skype call when I got my job. I was in California, got a job in Tampa area. of Florida. Just had 2 phone calls, a couple emails. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I was there. That is an essential oil diffuser. Are developers drug tested? It's on a company by company basis. I wasn't drug tested at my last company. I was drug tested at this company, and I don't remember my previous company. How many free codecamp projects in your CV to get you hired? Hey man, did you use only your free codecamp projects in your CV to get you hired? I had some. I want to say at the time I had 6 projects on there, and 4 to 3 were free codecamp front end projects. One was my website, codingtutorials360.com, which was an AngularJS site I built. The other was my YouTube channel, and I think the rest were free codecamp projects. Are recruiters even valuable? They're so annoying. Recruiter got me this job. I love this job. I would say the same thing until the recruiter. The recruiter got me the job. What about Android development? Is it any better? No. I honestly, guys, if the choice is between mobile development and web development, what I'll say to you is I think you'd be making a mistake choosing mobile development. Not that there aren't jobs in mobile development, not that there aren't. It's just the skill set, I think, is more. How do I put this? The skill set, I think there's more jobs in web development than mobile development, and I think it's not going to change. If anything, I think it's going to go in the opposite direction. As you continue to see things like Ionic pop up and React Native, that's slowly going to dwindle away some of the Android jobs out there and the iOS jobs or Swift jobs. I'm in Python. There's Python related web dev, but mainly it's used for data science. How am I doing? How far are you in the complete Angular 5 course? Are you talking about Academines course? I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. I use Bootstrap 4. All time learning Java for nothing. That's not true. Java is widely used by like Fortune 500 companies. Super large corporations use Java and like Scala all the time, and they love it. Now, in your personal life, would you ever use Java? No. Would you ever actually do a web dev project in Java? A personal web dev project in Java? No. How many hours a day were you grinding while learning web dev? What were your main resources? When I was working as a technology trainer at Education Dynamics, which is kind of a small project manager course with a technical writer and project manager role, I was putting in 4 hours a day after work and on the weekends. Some days I would, and a little bit more on Friday nights, like 6-7 hours. On the weekends, I'd put in about 12 hours a day, maybe more. I mean, the thing I say, and I say it, we end up talking about this every live stream because a lot of you guys you're like, look, man, I'm studying, I'm coding. I just want that job. I want that internship. I want to continue learning outside of work, but I want to, I want to get paid. I don't care if it's minimum wage. I want to get paid, and I want to start getting some resume experience because I understand that is what really helps, and it does. But I'll say this, and I say it every live stream: code every day until you have a job. 3 to 4 hours a day, every day till you have a job, and that could mean going to meetups. That could mean blogging your learning process. It could mean some maybe less code heavy thing because we all get burnt out on writing code. So code every day until you have a job. Then you will have a job every day. What's going on, Kevin? Kevin Cho, man, has entered the building. When it comes to trying to make projects could actually impress senior devs, what type of project do you think could do this? Unique projects. People are not impressed by weather apps. They're not impressed by calculators. So they're not impressed by to-do things. They want something with personality, and they want something custom. So those are the types of projects you should have. Should I use Vue? No. Pros and cons. Pros, it's pretty easy to learn. My understanding is. Cons, you're wasting your time because there's no jobs in Vue yet. React versus Express.js, so they're kind of two different things. Express is a back-end JavaScript language you use in Node, and React is a front-end Vue templating library, although I like to call it a framework. PHP versus Node.js. PHP more jobs, Node.js more sanity. What do you have against Java? I did Java. I'm not saying Java is an awful language. I think we can all agree it is, but it's just one of those things that it's not very intuitive. There's a lot of rules to it, which some people would say a programming language should have. So it's sort of overly developed in my opinion, and also it's not something that you would ever use in a practical project. It really is a language that you use if you are at a corporate, company, top 500 company that I mean, does anyone here know anyone that started a side project in fucking Java? It doesn't happen because it's awful to do it. It's much easier when it comes to doing something in JavaScript, TypeScript, all these web dev frameworks. Doing web dev in Java, and I've done it because I've done all my coursework in Java, was ridiculous. Ridiculous. And so the whole time you're doing it, you're like, God, I could just do this in JavaScript in 2 seconds. That's what I have against Java. What is your favorite JavaScript design pattern? Look, dude, I don't have a favorite JavaScript design pattern. If you guys think I have design patterns, or I know bubble sort, or I know Big Ten notation anymore, you are out of your mind. Yeah, you're not talking to the right developer to give you some JavaScript design patterns, man. That's not how I roll. I had a whiteboard interview, but I didn't attend it because I feel I didn't know much on coding yet. Did I fuck up? Yes, you did. The whiteboard interview would have shown you, first off, what sort of questions were going to be asked. It was going to make you more okay with being in a stressful and awkward environment, because it's definitely going to be that way. Another thing is, it was your chance to introduce yourself to some people who would have said if you made a good impression, because not only would you be interviewed, you would do the whiteboard, of course, but you would also be interviewed, and they would say, hey, you know what? That guy Dylan, or that guy King Richie, if your name is King Richie, you definitely have a memorable name. But that guy King Richie, I like him. He tanked the shit out of that whiteboard interview, but I can tell based off of his GitHub pushes, I can tell based off his LinkedIn, his portfolio, that he's trying. We all stress, we all crack. You never know how much that they're going to weigh that. So yes, you should have gone. Are you going to probably not get the job? I don't know. Is it going to be awkward and stressful? Yeah. Get over it. They liked you enough based off what you showed them to invite you for an interview. That's not, I applied to hundreds of jobs before I got a couple interviews. When you say code every day, do you mean create a project, stick with it, or do all the tutorials on free code camp, so on? Just do something that progresses you 3 to 4 hours a day in your coding career. That could be meetups. That could be tutorials on free code camp. That could be building a project. That could be writing a blog about your coding journey. That could be homework that's related to software. Do something that's related to you moving forward in a coding direction. That could be reorganizing your GitHub. Okay, it doesn't have to be one thing. It's actually going to be 5 or 10 things. Are you on Twitch? Sort of, not really. No. Do I have any cool project ideas for web or mobile? Does that matter? You need to have your own ideas, man. You need to take something that you're passionate about. It could be anything. You're passionate about Pokemon, go build a Pokemon card with the Pokemon API, something fun. You're passionate about UFC, go use it, some sort of random UFC API. Build a UFC API. You know. How dare you? I challenge you to coding. Do I choose Java? Will you accept? No. Because nobody needs to see Java. All right. Isn't Western Governors University software dev course just Java centric? They do have 2 Java courses, yes. I wouldn't say it's Java centric, but there are 2 Java courses that are part of it. WGU's software dev course is more of a IT course. You do talk about project management, you talk about web dev, you talk about software, but it has more of an IT feel to it. What's your opinion on .NET Core and C# and all that? That's what we use at my work with a Angular front end, and I'll be picking up .NET and C#. And why don't you ask me in a couple months? I'll give you a much better idea of what I think about it. Do you ever think about doing iOS development now? Are you still doing the live broadcast tomorrow? No. This is tomorrow's live broadcast because I have to do some work tomorrow. Is the developer Mr. Robot realistic? That guy got skills. I don't know if that's a real question or not, but by and large, don't try and take your expectations from movies. I learned ExpressJS and have the right to talk to Joshua. Look, man, everyone here knows ExpressJS isn't perfect, but it's beautiful and we love it anyways, okay? It's made our lives much easier in the JavaScript backend. Why is that, if you don't mind me asking? Why is what? Verbally bodied. You gotta elaborate here. Would I recommend WGU to aside from the University of Georgia? Here's the thing, guys. I don't recommend college. I am not learning anything in my first 2 and now my current 3rd course. So it's hard for me to recommend college as a whole. So would I recommend getting a master's? No. Would I recommend getting a master's over getting a bachelor's in computer science when you already have a degree? Yes. I would also recommend that if you're trying to break in the space, getting a bachelor's of some sort if you don't have a degree, because that's usually the barrier of entry. I can't really get it too much into the architecture. Ruin. Have you committed any mistakes on the job? Yeah. I'll tell you a mistake I did. So part of the thing I'm working on has a daily release where every day I need to make sure that I have that day's content out. And I got my days mixed up. So I was 1 day behind. So everybody was on social media posting 404 pictures of, where's this? Where's this thing? And we send out text messages, right, with these links to these sites. And so this was like 2 days ago. So that is something that I recently did, where I was like, oh, I have 1 more day to do it. And then I'm getting messages from various people. Hey, did you put so-and-so, did you put this out yet? I was like, yeah, it's day, 34. They're like, nah, dude, it's day 35. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. So yeah, I have made mistakes. It happens. um, even, every coding god has a plan for you, right? Even when you forget to do so. Um, so I've pushed straight to master in my like second or third week. So one of the things that maybe I should do a video just talking about the top 5 ways I messed up at a job. We have like a code review process and all this sort of stuff, and you gotta make sure the tests run, all the standard stuff. And I was trying to wean myself off using a Git tool, like a GUI tool, when it comes to Git. And so I started trying to learn that, and I went in there tired one day, and I was just like, "Oh yeah." And before I knew it, I pushed straight to master. It was like week 2, and I was just like, "Whoo, guess that's going to production, baby." So I mean, yeah, it happens, man. You know, um, am I always making mistakes? No. Uh, you know, there's other developers to review your code. There's QA. Um, do things fall through the cracks or their use cases? Of course there are. But those are sort of the more memorable mistakes I have made. At least in the last 5 months. Yeah. I will say I did get in trouble a little bit on what I considered to be a less important project that had late night. Something needed to go out the next day, and it was like 10 at night, and I didn't follow the processes at work. And because it needed to go out, I just pushed it straight to master, and I did get kind of smacked down a little bit about that. But I did defend myself and my reasonings and thought process for it. So hey, don't be giving me the power if you don't think I'm gonna push it when I need to. But that's I didn't really get it. I would say I got in trouble with that. We had a very lively debate to a degree. Do I do TDD at work? I do. All right, guys. It is about time to wrap this up. It's been about an hour. I hope you enjoyed the weekly live stream. On Monday, we will have a nice video coming out talking about should you do web development in 2018. We have some facts. We have some job stats, things to work out, things to think about, and talk about. And don't leave you. Hey, like all the ladies before, I found the love of my life. You're going to go on, girl. Don't worry about it. All right. You're going to meet your own Dolan. All right. I need to go rest a little bit. I got a long day tomorrow, and I need to go eat. So let's. I usually try to end on a final thought of sorts, and one of the things that if you watch recently, I did my Dolan video, just kind of making fun a little bit and having some fun. And I talked a while, but when I turned 30, I released a video talking about the top 5 things I would tell my younger self. And one of the things is that it's okay to be okay with yourself. And sometimes that just means that you can laugh at yourself. Sometimes that can mean that you can throw yourself out, throw yourself out there and be willing to fail and be willing to, just sort of make a fool of yourself at times. And I would encourage you to embrace that a little bit more. A lot of us, especially with social media, where we're only posting the good things, right? No one's posting videos of their, people are posting photos and videos of their nice cars. They don't then post the video of the, when it gets towed away because you can't pay the bills on it, right? So what I'd encourage you to is not necessarily get your car towed, but I would encourage you to be willing to laugh at yourself and be willing to accept yourself a little bit, and of course work hard, because hopefully then you won't get your car towed. I don't know where I'm going with this. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share. Support me at patreon.com/codetutorials360. If you're interested in my introduction course on Angular, my very first course is about 3 hours long. It is in the description below, as well as a cool shirt that you can go and treat yourself to. The Bro, Do You Even Code shirt. And maybe, just maybe, rumor on the street is that Dolan might have his Bro, Do You Even template shirt coming out soon for that new hotness. We'll see. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.